Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Robin, or A Hobbit's Reading List, and we are going to figure out what my February TBR is by playing my TBR game, TBR Pursuit. So I didn't play TBR Pursuit in January because I wanted to give the books that I was supposed to read in 2023 but didn't get to a second chance. I read some of them. Watch out next week for the video of what books I read. But we are back with TBR Pursuit, and we're gonna try to, you know, it's February, it's Valentine's Day, it's the month of love. So I'm gonna try to aim for as much romance as possible, but I do have some books that I need to read, as always. And so I'll be aiming for some miscellaneous as well. Maybe a classic, because I do have Wodehouse as always. So we'll see what happens. But if you haven't watched my TBR Pursuit videos, or you need a refresher, I use the Lord of the Rings Trivial Pursuit board, and each color represents a different genre that is the most popular, 6 most popular genres of my books that I own. And they are fantasy, romance, LGBT, Jewish, psychology, and classics. Cool. And I also do have these spots, the bigger ones at the end of the spokes, are miscellaneous spots to sort of round out the rest of my collection so that I'm not really missing any books. I do have a roll again option, which will add a book. I have received feedback from my dad that he finds it a little unnecessary. Let me know what you think. I like it, but it does add some pressure and stress, but you know, what is life without a little pressure? So I think that's about it. I think that's really all I have to go over. So I'm gonna go ahead and get set up, and then we're gonna jump into figuring out what I'm gonna read in February. Okay, for the first roll, 5. So first roll, I can pretty much go anywhere I want. So I'm gonna go over here because orange is romance. Which is a hardback. Okay. For a romance that is a hardback, I didn't have a lot of options. So I picked The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I have not read this book. I've been told for years that I needed to, but I know enough about it to know that it's gonna upset me. But unfortunately my choices were between this or between Ravensong by TJ Klune, which I know is also going to upset me and is also much larger. So I picked The Fault in Our Stars. So I know this is about a girl named Hazel who has cancer that is terminal, and she goes to a cancer kids support group and meets Augustus Waters, who also has cancer, and they end up falling in love, and I think the ending is upsetting. That's what I know. The blurb is also very short. So that's all I got, so that's all you get. The second roll. 1. Perfect. It's miscellaneous. Oh boy. Which is crime. Alright. That's not my favorite. For the second book, which is Miscellaneous Crime, I put that on because I tend to read a lot of thrillers and or crime-related books for my family book club, even though that's not my preferred genre. So unsurprisingly, the books that I have don't really fall in that group. I only had 3. So I ended up picking up Sunset Lodge in Georgetown, the story of a madam. And I'm assuming it's put under crime because it is a brothel. And I think maybe at that time it was still considered illegal. But it's about a brothel in Georgetown and the madam who ran it. And it's just a short little nonfiction. Hopefully it won't be as painful as the nonfiction I read last month. But considering it's so short, I think that's 1 chapter. I think I'll be okay. Five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll just roll again. We'll just roll again. Or classic. Well, I did say I would go for a classic, so I will go ahead and go for 1. Which is a war or battle featured, which does not quite fit the Wodehouse book, I think. For a classic that is featuring a war or battle, Storygraph doesn't make it super easy to find out if a book has a war or battle in it if it's not mentioned in the synopsis. It does have a tag that is like literally like war, but you can't search it. So you have to, I had to go into every single book that is considered a classic and look to see if it had that tag. Unfortunately, the Wodehouse book that I have to read this month doesn't, unless I want to be like super generous. But I didn't want to do that. So I will actually finish reading the Silmarillion. Now, this edition is very, very beautiful. It also features artwork by Tolkien. It's very beautiful. It's also very large. I'm assuming I will actually end up listening to the audiobook that is narrated by Andy Serkis, because that will make this go faster, because I've also read about half of it, and I know that it kind of reads as a history book. So, and it's the history of Middle-earth, pretty much. Very condensed. There are a lot of other books that are way more detailed that are actually called the history of Middle-earth. But this is a summary. Well, this is LGBT, so I could get a romance in this. Ooh, okay, here we go. My most anticipated, which I can't think of off the top of my head, so this will be nice. For an LGBT book that is my most anticipated, I picked up Teacher of the Year by M.A. Wardell. So I have been seeing this all over Bookstagram because I follow a lot of people who read queer romance. And I also follow the author, and I'm super curious. I have the first 2 books in this series. And this is about a teacher named Marvin who teaches kindergarten, I believe? Yeah. And he gets a new student at the beginning of term who has a very cute single father. And they start being friends, and then maybe being more. But Marvin is also trying to be Teacher of the Year to get his school more prestige, I think. And so I think he gets torn between being like ambitious and determined to get this award or having his relationship with Olin. So yeah, I'm excited to read this. Alright, for the 5th roll, which is fantasy. Okay. The first in a series. I kind of want to get out of this spoke right here. For a fantasies that is first in a series, I picked up Legend of Latte by Travis Baldree. I know that this is about an orc who opens a cafe, and there is a sapphic romance in it. The orc gives up war and battles, and it's a very cozy fantasy, which honestly I love. I'm down for. I don't want super, like, you know what this means. 5. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5. There's LGBT. Just fantasy. I don't like necessarily going back through the middle if I don't have to. Let's do LGBT again. Well, now this is LGBT first in the series, which significantly decreases the options. For an LGBT book that is first in a series, I love that I got those back to back. I grabbed The Alpha's Warlock by Elliot Grayson. So this is about a warlock named Nate who gets cursed by a pack of werewolves, and the only way to sort of circumvent the curse is to marry and mate bond with the alpha of a rival werewolf pack, which would be all fine and dandy if said werewolf, Ian, didn't hate him. But they end up having some time together. And, hatred is just, it's not the opposite of love. It's very close to love. It's very passionate. And they apparently are very passionate. This was a book that Jess from Books Best Bedtimes read, like, last year. I think she was talking about other books in the series, but I was so interested in the series that I just added the first book. And so the other series that she has recommended, Monstrous, I absolutely loved, so I trust her, especially when it comes to smutty gay romance. Yeah, this is gonna be good. Alright, so this will likely be our last roll. I'm not really going for a roll again, just because I am, in classes again, and so I don't want to overwhelm myself. 3, 2, 3, miscellaneous, 1, 2, 3, fantasy. So I'll go ahead and go miscellaneous again. Okay, so I didn't get out of this spoke. Oh, interesting. Short stories. Interesting. For short stories, I didn't have, like, a ton of books here. Short stories aren't really my thing. But I have had a book for a very long time, which is Half Gods. So this is 10 interconnected short stories that follow the same family. So, still counts. Because they're 10 interconnected stories, I don't really know a plot because there's not really one. I know it follows a family that is dealing with, dealing with the ways that parents, children, and friends act as unknowing mirrors to each other, revealing in their all too human revealing in their all too human weaknesses, hopes, and sorrows a connection to the divine. It looks interesting. So those are the 7 books that I'm going to read for the TBR Pursuit. But I mentioned that I have other books that I need to read, and I was going to try to put them into the game. And guess what I didn't do? I didn't put them into the game. because they didn't fit. So I will actually be reading 11 books this month, which is not impossible. You know, there's 29 days in February. I have 11 books. That's, what, 2.5 days each? I don't know. I'm not good at math. I'm guessing. But last February, I read 13 books in 28 days. So I think I can do it. You know, I think I can do it. I think it'll be okay. So for school, I need to read The Moor's Account, which will be very interesting. So I'm just going to read the synopsis because it's not very long, and I think it sounds really interesting, quite honestly. In these pages, Laila Lalami brings us the imagined memoirs of the first black explorer of America, Mustafa al-Zamori, called Estebanico. The slave of a Spanish conquistador, Estebanico sails for the Americas with his master, Dorantes, on a danger-laden expedition to Florida. Within a year, Estebanico is one of only 4 crew members to survive. As he journeys across America with his Spanish companions, the old world roles of slave and master fall away, and Estebanico remakes himself as an equal, a healer, and a remarkable storyteller. His tale illuminates the ways in which our narratives can transmigrate into history, and how storytelling can offer a chance at redemption and survival. I think it sounds really cool. I think it makes a lot of sense, considering in my class we're studying post-colonial literature. So I'll be really interested to see how this interplays with that. I also have to read Spinning Silver by Naomi Novak for my Temple book club that I run. It was recommended to me by a lot of people for the book club specifically, and so I'm like, okay, well, I didn't have any other books that I wanted to recommend, so go ahead and pick up this one. And this is about a girl named Miriam who comes from a family struggling. Her father is a moneylender but isn't great at like following up on debts, and so she takes that onto herself and she gets a reputation for this, which gathers the attention of another kingdom, and that kingdom happens to have fae creatures in it, and so she gets kicked off on this adventure. So I'm really interested in the themes of this book, so I think it'll be really cool to read for the book club and have a discussion about it. Okay. Water for Elephants. This is a book that one of my best friends wanted me to read. They've been wanting me to read it for about a year. Finally getting to it. I told him I would. So even though it doesn't fit in the game, I'm still reading it. It is about a guy named Jacob Janowski. We get 2 perspectives. It's a dual timeline. So we get him when he's like 90, and then we also get him when he's 23. And when he's 23, he's almost done with veterinary school, and both his parents die in a car accident, and he just can't do it anymore. He sort of nopes out and joins a circus. So that's Water for Elephants. And then finally, I have the Wodehouse book, A Damsel in Distress. I don't know anything about it. I never do for Wodehouse. I go in completely blind. I know there's a romance. I know it's probably going to be funny. And there's going to be interconnected storylines. That's that's not a lot. But if you subscribe to me and watch my vlogs, you will see what I think about the book in real time in my weekly reading vlogs. I love that transition. So those are my books for my February TBR, and I think it's doable. I'm feeling good about this. So leave a comment, like the video, subscribe, click the notification bell, all that good stuff, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!